Okay, so I just wanted to make this impromptu, news video just to bring some attention to something that I've seen float around on, Twitter and Reddit, etc. So, what I've seen is a lot of people are freaking out about Sony basically granting a patent for a new type of PlayStation controller that has no physical buttons on it. And I'll link this article in the description. So, basically you can see it there. But I don't think this is such a bad idea. No, I would more like physical buttons on it, but I'll explain why I don't think it's such a bad idea. So, here it says, Sony's been never shy about experimenting with how players can hold and press things. Yeah, because in the currently DualSense controllers, well, actually, if we go back to even the original PlayStation controller, there was different designs over the years. In fact, I'll try to put some images up on screen of them, because there was the original PlayStation controller, then it was, I think it was a dual analog, and then it was a dual shock, but there was a bunch of other other ones, accessories, etc. Then we go into the PS2. Generally, there was just I think just one controller, but what it did have was a unique feature, and it was the pressure sensitive buttons, where if you held it down so much, it would start to do different things, and some games took advantage of it, some didn't. I think Metal Gear Solid 2 was definitely one, and Metal Gear Solid 3 were two games, but it wasn't exactly good. A good idea, but that's nothing on the controller. That was more just in the game itself. It wasn't really utilised well. I think Grand Theft Auto as well may have utilised that for the acceleration. And then we move on to PS3 with the 6-axis. At first, it didn't have vibration, but that was, I think that was due to an ongoing legal issue. But the 6-axis, you could use it for basically you could use it as motion control. And then we move on to the PS4. It had the PS4 had the front touch bar on it and the light bar at the back. And then we move on to the PS5 with the DualSense. Well, this one, it was more or less, you could say it was more or less the same as the PS4 controller in its design, but what it did have was haptic triggers. So Sony has always redesigned the controllers over the last, has it been 30 years? Hold on, let me check when it came out. I think it's been 30 years. Let me check when the first one came out. I don't remember. When was it? Okay, so it's been over 30 years since it's released. Released in December 3rd, 1994 in Japan. And in North America was 1995. So it's been over 30 years. They've been redesigning it and doing it for over 30 years. So I wouldn't be surprised if they try something like this. Now, let's go into this a little bit more. So, in brief, Sony was granted a US patent describing buttonless controllers that uses touchscreens and sensors and face buttons and a D-pad and thumbsticks. See, that's the point where I am a little concerned about, is the thumbsticks. The D-pad, not so much, but the thumbsticks, slightly. But I think, thinking about it, it could still work, and I'll get to it. Players will be able to move and resize and remove virtual input. See, this is why I think this could actually be good for accessibility needs. You could remove buttons that you don't actually need, or add extra buttons. See, if you've got a disability, this is why this could be actually not a bad idea. Because there we can see the D-pad is up at the top, which is normal, or you could have it down at the bottom, which is similar to the Xbox controller. And then those have moved as well. So Sony obtained a US patent for control for touchscreen that lets players choose where the buttons should go, and it was filed back in 2023 and it was issued in 2026, so it took them a while to get it. It tells on designs and methods for game controller. The file mainly covers gamepad that drops traditional physical inputs in favor of touchscreen sensors that read finger precision, taps, and long presses and swipes. See, and they've already got like the long presses with the pressure sounds and swipes because of the touch bar, so they've already got some of that, you could say, in place. And Sony wants to kill fixed button layout. Yes, with this, because this would allow for greater customization. Original application frames a touchscreen the way for single device. So yeah. Now here's the important part. People freaking out that Sony's gonna do all this. There is no guarantee that Sony will actually do this, because it's just a patent, and many patents do not actually get utilized. Well, they don't basically materialize into anything. There's been so many, because I think I remember seeing one based on being able to charge, I think it was like wireless charge the DualSense controller on top of the PS5. That never actually happened. So, but I wouldn't knock this completely. I don't think they'll do it. That's the one thing. I don't think Sony is going to make this. But I wouldn't knock the concept of it. I think the concept actually has merit, because for accessibility reasons, say if someone's got a disability, they could customize it to their needs. But it's also the fact we have been using touchscreens for a long time for games on mobile devices, so we kind of grown accustomed to it. So now, granted, I would more prefer physical buttons, but this concept is not necessarily so bad. The problem could be the battery. That could be the slight problem, but I wouldn't necessarily knock this completely. I think it still has some merit. But I think we'll wait and see what they do. So I think that'll call it here for this one. I just wanted to bring this to people's attention. So thank you for watching. Next time we'll probably just be back to game 1, so that should be Monday the 27th. As the time of recording this, will be, well, this is Sunday the 26th, so Monday the 27th we'll be back to Lego Star Wars, or it should be. So thank you all for watching this, and we'll stick around.